having started in local government, one of the things I learned on the city council and as city councilman and mayor of Richmond is how critical it is to have a tight relationship between the governing board and the school board. Virginia is really unusual in the way we set up government. So we have separate cities and counties, that's very different. But we also have relationships between school boards and the county boards or city councils that are different too. In a lot of jurisdictions, states, a school board will have their own revenue raising capacity. And so that gives the school board some degree of autonomy in revenues for the school system. That's not the Virginia mechanism. Whether it would be better that way or not isn't for, isn't for this day. But what I want to point out is because so much of the school budget relies upon what the Board of Supervisors does, it's really helpful to have somebody on a Board of Supervisors who's been on the school board. Sharon or any of the board members on the Fairfax board would say the same thing. They dig deeply into the school board budget. They know the school board budget very well, but it's not the same as only doing the school business every day. And so if you have somebody who's been on a school board who then comes up into the Board of Supervisors, when the board is making the decision about the single largest line item in the Fairfax County budget, it's the single largest line item in every city and county's budget. It's the single largest line item in the state's budget. When the board is making that decision, when there's somebody around the table who has been there in school board representation, it makes it go a lot better. It makes the relationship go better. Maybe the Board of Supervisors will have a question and say, we're not so sure about why is the school board doing this, that, and the other thing. Janet will explain it. Or Janet will say, you know what, maybe you're right. Maybe I need to go back and be a liaison and talk to the school board about it. That relationship, which can be a tense relationship in the best of circumstances, right? And I saw it in Richmond. There was always a tension in that relationship. That tension has a way of getting mitigated and lessened if there's really good ties and liaisons back and forth. And the way that you do that is you put a talented school board member on the board. So for a whole lot of reasons, for her activism, she said she's not a politician, and I guess I am, but I kind of know what she meant. She's in it for a particular set of reasons that don't have much to do with politics. They have to do with the outcome. As a teacher and as an activist, she wants an outcome for kids and now the citizens of Fairfax County, and that's why she's in it. She will bring a skill set and a history and a passion and an expertise to the board here in Fairfax that's gotten used to good representation, right? And so she's going to bring that kind of skill set and expertise to the board and maintain the high expectations you have of your elected officials. So do all you can. And I'm going to say one more thing and then close. And we'll go back to more barbecue and boy, that cake, there's a lot of cake over there. I'm making a beeline for that as soon as I'm done. In a 4-year election cycle in Virginia, this is the lowest turnout election. So you have the 2 federal years presidential, and then another federal year there might be a presidential a senator or congressional races. Then you have the 2 odd years where it's state elections. One has the governor, one does not. This is the off year. There's no federal race and there's no statewide governor top the ticket race. It means the turnout is the lowest. It's always the lowest turnout year. Canvassing and volunteering is always important. Thank God we don't live in a political culture where it's just about TV and radio ads and the kind of mail that you get in your inbox in the last month of the campaign. That can be important, but at the end of the day, it is the personal connection that really matters. It matters more in a low turnout race. In a presidential race, everybody's going to turn out. We know we'll have 65% turnout, whoever's on the ballot. But in a off-year election, the turnout will be low. And it means that the marginal impact you make when you make a phone call or you talk to somebody at the door is greater this year than in any other election. Now, Janet has already been part of an election that, but for 100 votes, a lot of current Virginia challenges and problems, and to my way of thinking, anxieties, etc. If we had gotten 51, people to switch, or found 101 others, we would be in a very different place as a state right now. I was in my first race for city council was decided by 91 votes. These local races get decided by razor-thin margins, but they can have huge impact in the narrow community, in the jurisdiction and beyond. So I guess what I'm saying is just make sure for Dave, for Sharon, for Janet, for Megan, for all of these candidates, for Ted and for Ryan. Just make sure that you really knock it out of the park. Like you know how to do this. This isn't something new for you guys. You know how to do it. Make sure you knock it out of the park in terms of the turnout and the canvassing and the phone calling, because I predict there are going to be, in Fairfax County, some very, very close elections when we count it on November 8th. And we want to make sure that we come out on the top side of those close elections. And that's in your hands, and you can make that happen. So, hey, listen, it's great to come, to be here with Janet. She's going to do a great job as your Braddock supervisor. You're lucky.